The call came at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. I remember because I was staring at my computer screen, mindlessly watching the clock tick by during another endless Zoom meeting. The hospital's number flashed across my phone, and my stomach dropped before I even answered. My name is Vivian, and that call changed everything. Mrs. Swanson, this is Mercy General. Your husband Owen has been in a serious accident. The rest was a blur of words: head on collision, critical condition, emergency surgery. I don't remember hanging up or driving to the hospital. I just remember the fluorescent lights of the ICU waiting room and the smell of industrial cleaner that couldn't quite mask the underlying scent of illness and fear. Where is he? I demanded at the nurse's station, my hands shaking as I gripped my purse. I'm Owen Swanson's wife. A kind faced nurse led me to a small consultation room. The doctor will be in shortly. Would you like some water? I shook my head, pacing the tiny space. When the doctor finally arrived, his grave expression told me everything before he spoke a word. Mrs. Swanson, your husband sustained severe trauma. We've stabilized him, but he's in a coma. The next 48 hours are critical. I was still processing this when the door burst open. Meredith swept in like a winter storm, her perfectly coiffed silver hair and designer outfit a stark contrast to my disheveled appearance. Where is my son? She demanded, not even acknowledging my presence. Jonathan, her husband, followed close behind, his face tight with worry. The doctor repeated the information, and Meredith immediately took charge. I want the best neurologist. Who's handling his care? What's the treatment plan? I stood there, feeling increasingly invisible as she fired questions at the doctor. When she finally turned to me, her eyes were sharp with accusation. Vivian, why didn't you call us immediately? I I just found out myself. I came straight here. Hmm. She turned back to the doctor. We'll need to see him now. The ICU visit was restricted to two people at a time. Before I could move, Meredith grabbed Jonathan's arm. We'll go first. Parents should see him immediately. I watched them disappear down the hallway, my throat tight with unshed tears. A nurse touched my arm gently. Would you like to sit down? Hours passed in a haze of medical updates and hushed conversations. When I finally got to see Owen, the sight of him, so still, so unlike himself, nearly broke me. Tubes and wires surrounded him like a technological cocoon. I touched his hand, careful to avoid the IV lines. I'm here, I whispered. I'm right here. That evening, Meredith announced she and Jonathan would be staying at our house. Owen will need round the clock care when he comes home. We need to prepare everything. I can handle, I started to say, but she cut me off. Vivian, dear, this isn't the time for pride. You'll need help. We're family. I was too exhausted to argue. When we got home, Meredith immediately began reorganizing the kitchen, claiming she needed to set up a proper care station. Jonathan started moving furniture in the living room to make space for medical equipment. I retreated to our bedroom, mine and Owen's, only to find Meredith following me. The master bedroom has the best layout for monitoring equipment, she said, running her hand along the dresser. I'll sleep here. You can take the guest room. It'll be more peaceful for you. I stared at her, unable to process what I was hearing. This is my bedroom. Don't be difficult, dear. This is about what's best for Owen. Her smile was gentle, but her eyes were cold. You want what's best for Owen, don't you? I opened my mouth to protest, but the words wouldn't come. I was too drained, too shocked by the day's events to fight. I grabbed my pajamas and toiletries, feeling like a stranger in my own home. As I lay in the guest bed that night, listening to Meredith's footsteps in my bedroom, I remembered Owen's words from years ago. My mother, she has a way of taking over. Promise me you'll never let her push you around. I had laughed then, thinking he was exaggerating. Now, staring at the unfamiliar ceiling, I realized he had been warning me. My phone buzzed, a text from my best friend Kendra. How are you holding up? I typed back, they're here, in my house, in my bedroom. Her response was immediate. Want me to come over? Not tonight, but soon. I think I'm going to need backup. I turned off my phone and closed my eyes, trying to block out the sound of Meredith's voice drifting through the walls as she spoke to Jonathan. This was just temporary, I told myself, just until Owen got better. I had no idea then that this was only the beginning. I woke to classical music drifting through the house, not just from one room, it seemed to come from everywhere. Following the sound downstairs, I found Meredith directing a technician who was installing speakers in every corner of our living room. What's happening? I asked, still in my pajamas. Owen always loved classical music, Meredith said, not looking at me. The doctors say familiar sounds can help coma patients recover. I've arranged for a whole house audio system without asking me? She finally turned, her expression a perfect blend of concern and condescension. Oh, I didn't want to burden you with these details. You're clearly overwhelmed. Before I could respond, Jonathan emerged from the kitchen. The new refrigerator will be delivered tomorrow. The old one isn't suitable for storing medical supplies. New refrigerator? I felt like I was in a bizarre dream. We don't need. Vivian? Meredith cut in. Perhaps you should get dressed. It's nearly noon. I glanced at the clock. It was 9:30 a.m. Upstairs, I found my bathroom had been reorganized. My toiletries were gone, replaced with new ones. Even my toothbrush was different. I stood there gripping the sink when my phone buzzed. It was Kendra. I'm outside. Brought coffee. I nearly ran downstairs, ignoring Meredith's disapproving look as I rushed past. Kendra took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. That bad? We sat in her car and I told her everything: the speakers, the refrigerator, my displaced belongings. They're isolating you, Kendra said, her lawyer instincts kicking in. That's abuse 101. They're trying to make you feel powerless in your own home. Maybe they're just trying to help, I said, but the words felt hollow. Like hell they are. Kendra's eyes narrowed. Remember what Owen told you about them? The memory hit me like a wave. Owen and I, 3 years ago, sitting in our kitchen after a particularly tense dinner with his parents. I'm sorry about Mom, he had said, running a hand through his hair. She's always been like this, controlling everything, everyone. She nearly drove my last girlfriend to a breakdown. Layla? I'd asked. Yeah. Mom loved her at first, then tried to remake her into the perfect daughter in law. When Layla resisted, he shook his head. It got ugly. Back in Kendra's car, I took a deep breath. Owen warned me, I just never thought that they'd strike while he's vulnerable. Kendra squeezed my hand. You need to start documenting everything. When I returned inside, the living room furniture had been completely rearranged. Our cozy sectional was gone, replaced by stiff backed chairs. The photos on the walls, our wedding pictures, vacation memories, had been taken down. Where are our pictures? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Too cluttered, Jonathan said from his new command post in Owen's office. We need a calm environment for his recovery. When he comes home, I started, but Jonathan interrupted. It's not easy for everyone to be a caregiver, Vivian. Some people just aren't cut out for it. That afternoon, I discovered they'd converted Owen's home gym into a medical supply room. Our bedroom, my bedroom now, had been stripped of personal items. The walls were bare, the dresser empty, except for medical reference books. I was heading to the kitchen when I overheard Meredith on the phone. Yes, we'll need to update all the emergency contacts. No, not the wife. I'm his mother. I'll be making the decisions. Yes, I understand about medical proxy, but circumstances change. My hands started shaking. I retreated to the guest room, my room now, and called Kendra. They're trying to take control of his medical decisions, I whispered. They can't, Kendra said firmly. You're his wife. You have rights. But what if a knock at my door made me jump? Meredith stood there, holding a stack of papers. Vivian, dear, we need to discuss Owen's care plan. I've made some decisions. I stared at her, remembering Owen's words. Don't let her push you around. Actually, I said, standing straighter, I think we should discuss this at the hospital, with Owen's doctors present. Something flickered in Meredith's eyes, surprise, maybe anger, but her smile never wavered. Of course, dear, whatever you think is best. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and I've arranged for some of your things to be moved to storage. We'll need the space for medical equipment. As her footsteps faded, I texted Kendra. They're not just pushing me out of my room, they're trying to erase me completely. Her response was immediate. Don't let them. This is your house, your life, your husband. Fight back. Looking around at the increasingly unfamiliar space that was once my home, I realized she was right. It was time to fight back. I just had to figure out how. I came home from the hospital one evening to find my suitcases packed and lined up in the hallway. Not just one bag, all of my suitcases, filled with my clothes, shoes, even my jewelry box. Meredith appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Oh, good, you're back. I've arranged a lovely suite at the Marriott. You need rest, dear, real rest. I stared at the suitcases, then at her. I'm not going anywhere. Don't be difficult. Her voice took on that sickly sweet tone I'd grown to hate. Jonathan and I have everything under control here. The new nurse is arriving tomorrow. New nurse? My head snapped up. What new nurse? Stephanie. She comes highly recommended. Meredith smiled. I've already cleared it with the hospital. I pulled out my phone, dialing Owen's doctor. Dr. Roberts, this is Vivian. I understand there's been a change in Owen's nursing care. Meredith's face tightened as I spoke to the doctor. When I hung up, I turned to her. Funny, Dr. Roberts knows nothing about a new nurse. I was going to discuss it with the medical team tomorrow, she said smoothly. Stephanie is private care, more personalized attention. The next day, I met Stephanie. She was younger than I expected, with an awkward manner that set off immediate alarm bells. When she checked Owen's vitals, she fumbled with the equipment. Her answers about her experience were vague. I cornered her in the hallway. Where did you work before this? Oh, various places, she said, not meeting my eyes. Mrs. Meredith can verify everything. I bet she can, I thought. That evening, I started researching Stephanie online. No nursing license came up under her name. No professional profiles. Nothing. Found anything? Kendra asked when I called her. Nothing. It's like she doesn't exist as a nurse. Because she probably isn't one, Kendra said. This is getting dangerous, Viv. They're bringing an unqualified person to care for Owen. A commotion from Owen's room interrupted us. I rushed in to find Stephanie struggling with his IV line. Stop! I moved to intervene, but Meredith blocked my path. She knows what she's doing, Meredith snapped. Does she? Because I can't find any record of her nursing license. The room went silent. Stephanie looked at Meredith, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. He needs us, not you, Meredith hissed, dropping all pretense of kindness. You're just making things worse. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling hospital security. Go ahead, Meredith smiled. I've already spoken with administration about your emotional state, how you're not coping well, how you might need a break from making decisions. My hand shook as I dialed anyway. Within minutes, hospital security arrived, followed by the charge nurse. Stephanie's credentials were questioned. She couldn't produce a valid license. Ma'am, you'll have to leave, the security guard told her. As Stephanie was escorted out, I overheard Meredith on her phone in the hallway. Yes, I need information about transferring power of attorney. No, it's regarding my son. Yes, I understand his wife currently holds it, but given the circumstances, my blood ran cold. I slipped into the bathroom, calling Kendra again. They're trying to take Owen's power of attorney from me, I whispered. They can't, Kendra said firmly. Not without cause, but Viv, you need to be careful. They're building a case against you. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house made me jump. I could hear Meredith and Jonathan talking in low voices downstairs. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Swanson, this is Chad, Owen's cousin. We need to talk. It's about Meredith. I hesitated, then replied, About what? Not over text. Can we meet tomorrow? It's important. I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near the hospital. As I set my phone down, I heard footsteps approaching my room. The door opened without a knock. Meredith. Vivian, we need to discuss your behavior today, she said. Your paranoid accusations about Stephanie, your emotional outbursts. It's clear you're not handling this well. I sat up straighter. Get out of my room. Your room? She laughed softly. Oh dear. You still don't understand, do you? This isn't your house anymore. This isn't your life anymore. Owen needs his family now. His real family. She turned to leave, then looked back. I'd start looking for a new place if I were you. Things are about to change. After she left, I sat in the dark, my heart pounding. They weren't just trying to push me out anymore. They were trying to take everything, my home, my rights, my husband. But they didn't know what I knew. They didn't know what Owen and I had planned for exactly this kind of situation. Tomorrow I'd meet with Chad, and then, I decided, the real fight would begin. The coffee shop was quiet when Chad walked in. He looked nervous, constantly glancing over his shoulder as he sat down across from me. "Thanks for meeting me," he said, his voice low. "Look, I need to tell you something about Aunt Meredith. She's done this before." I leaned forward. "Done what?" "This whole takeover thing. When my mom got sick, Meredith swooped in to help. Within months, she had power of attorney, control of the house, everything. Mom was too weak to fight back." "What happened?" Chad's hands tightened around his coffee cup. "Mom lost everything. The house was sold. The money disappeared. Meredith claimed it went to medical bills, but—" He shook his head. "Now I'm hearing things. About you, about Owen's accounts." Before he could continue, Jonathan's voice boomed through the coffee shop. "Chad, what a surprise!" Chad jumped like he'd been shocked. Jonathan pulled up a chair, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Catching up with Vivian? How nice." His tone suggested it was anything but nice. "I was just leaving," Chad mumbled, standing quickly. As he turned to go, he whispered, "Check the house deed." I watched him hurry out, Jonathan's eyes boring into his back. "Vivian," Jonathan said, turning to me, "I was actually looking for you. We've been talking to a real estate agent. The house isn't suitable for Owen's long term care. We're thinking of listing it." The world seemed to tilt. "Listing my house?" "Now, don't get emotional. It's what's best for Owen." He pulled out some papers. "The agent can come by tomorrow." I stood up so abruptly my chair scraped loudly against the floor. "I need to go." 20 minutes later, I was in Kendra's office, my hands shaking as I told her everything. "They can't sell the house," she said, pulling out a file. "Don't you remember? Owen made sure of that." The memory hit me like a thunderbolt. 2 years ago, Owen and I sitting in this very office. "My mother will try something eventually," he had said. "I want to make sure you're protected." "The prenup," I whispered, watching Kendra pull out the document. "Not just any prenup," she said, spreading the papers on her desk. "Owen put the house solely in your name, along with most of the assets you acquired before marriage. He knew exactly what his parents were capable of." "Why didn't you remind me sooner?" "You needed to see their true colors first," she said. "Now we can fight back." That afternoon, I returned home to find Meredith directing movers to pack up more of my belongings. "What are you doing?" I demanded. "Just making space, dear. The real estate agent is coming tomorrow to take photos." "No, they're not." My voice was steady, surprising even me. "This is my house, legally, solely in my name." Meredith's smile faltered for just a second. "Don't be ridiculous. Owen put the house in my name 2 years ago. Check the property records." The color drained from her face. "You're lying." "Am I? Call the agent. Have them check. I'll wait." She pulled out her phone, stepping into the other room. I could hear her voice rising, then falling to a harsh whisper. When she returned, her mask had cracked. "You manipulative little—" A knock at the door interrupted her. A locksmith stood on the porch, tools in hand. "Mrs. Swanson?" he asked. "I'm here to change the locks. The homeowner called." Meredith's smile returned. "Yes, that's right. I called you." "Actually," I said, stepping forward, "I'm Mrs. Swanson, and I didn't call for a locksmith." The man looked confused. "I have an order here from Mrs. Meredith Swanson. I'll need to see ID from the legal homeowner," he said, looking between us. The silence that followed was deafening. Meredith's face went from confident to uncertain to furious in the span of seconds. "This isn't over," she said quietly as the locksmith left. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." "Actually, I do." I pulled out my phone, showing her the texts from Chad. "I know about what you did to his mother, the missing money, the sold house. Does Jonathan know about all of it?" For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. That night, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Watch your back. Meredith always wins." I thought about Owen lying in his hospital bed, about our house, our life together, the precautions he'd taken to protect me from exactly this situation. "Not this time," I whispered to the dark. "This time, she's met her match." Another knock at the door made me freeze. It was nearly midnight. Through the window, I could see the locksmith's van. "Mrs. Swanson?" a voice called. "Emergency lock change requested by the homeowner." The game was far from over. I opened the door to find a different locksmith than earlier, flanked by Meredith and Jonathan. Meredith's smile was triumphant. Evening services cost extra, she told the locksmith, but it's worth it to ensure everyone's safety. I'll need to see the homeowner's ID, the locksmith said, looking between us. Of course. Meredith pulled out her ID. I'm Mrs. Swanson. She is Mrs. Swanson, I said calmly, but I'm the homeowner. I retrieved the deed and my ID from the entry table where I'd left them after the earlier attempt. You can verify the property records online. The locksmith checked both IDs against his phone. His eyes widened slightly. Ma'am, he said to Meredith, I can't proceed. The property is registered to Vivian Swanson. There must be a mistake, Jonathan cut in. Our son owns this house. No mistake, I said, holding up my phone with the property records displayed. Owen transferred ownership to me 2 years ago. It's all legal and registered. Meredith's face went white, then red. You scheming little. I think we're done here, I told the locksmith. Thank you for your time. After he left, the three of us stood in the foyer, tension crackling like static electricity. You have 30 days to vacate, I said, my voice steady despite my pounding heart. You're trespassing now. You can't do this, Meredith hissed. He's our son. Yes, and he's my husband, the husband who knew exactly what you might try to do. I met her gaze. The husband who protected me from you before he even needed to. Jonathan grabbed Meredith's arm. Let's go. No, she yanked free. You'll regret this, Vivian. I promise you will. Get out of my house. They left, but Meredith turned back at the door. You think you've won? You have no idea what's coming. I locked the door behind them, my hands shaking as I called Kendra. They tried the locksmith trick again, I said. But that's not the end, is it? No, Kendra replied. Document everything. They'll be back. She was right. The next morning, I arrived at the hospital to find Meredith already there, speaking intensely with Owen's doctor. Concerns about her mental state, I heard her say. The stress is clearly too much. What's going on? I asked loudly, making them both turn. Mrs. Swanson, Dr. Roberts said, looking uncomfortable. Your mother in law was just expressing some concerns. About my mental state? I pulled out my phone, starting a recording. Please, Meredith, continue. Tell the doctor exactly what you think about my mental state. On record. Meredith's mouth snapped shut. Actually, I continued, let's discuss, Stephanie, the unlicensed nurse you tried to install. Or should we talk about the missing money from Chad's mother's accounts? How dare you? No, how dare you? I stepped closer. You want to play dirty? Fine. But remember, I have the house, I have the legal rights, and I have witnesses to your attempts to sabotage Owen's care. Dr. Roberts cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on Owen's treatment. Absolutely, I said, not taking my eyes off Meredith. As his legal medical proxy, I'd like to review his care plan, alone. Meredith's face contorted with rage, but she had no choice. As she stormed out, her heels clicking against the hospital floor, she bumped into Chad, who was just arriving. What are you doing here? She snapped. Supporting family, he said quietly, moving to stand beside me. After reviewing Owen's care plan with Dr. Roberts, I found Chad waiting in the hallway. There's more, he said. Aunt Meredith's been talking to Layla. Owen's ex? Yeah, she's planning something. I overheard her on the phone, talking about old photos, messages. My phone buzzed. A text from Kendra. Emergency. Come to my office now. They're trying to invalidate your marriage, Kendra said when I arrived. Meredith's filed papers claiming Owen was coerced into the property transfer. She's also hinting at evidence of infidelity. I laughed bitterly. Of course she is. This is serious, Viv. She's playing to win. So am I. I pulled out my phone, showing her the recording from the hospital. And unlike her, I actually have evidence. As I drove home that evening, I noticed a familiar car parked outside my house. Through the window, I could see Meredith talking to someone, a woman with long dark hair. Layla. Game on, I whispered, pulling into the driveway. Game absolutely on. I walked into my house to find Layla sitting in my living room like she belonged there, Meredith serving her tea in my grandmother's china. Vivian? Layla smiled, all perfect teeth and practiced warmth. It's been so long. Not long enough, I replied, setting my bag down. Why are you in my house? Oh, Meredith invited me. We've been catching up. She pulled out her phone. Looking at old photos, actually. Want to see? She held up the screen. There was Owen sitting in a coffee shop, apparently deep in conversation with Layla. The timestamp showed 2 days ago. My heart stopped. That's impossible. Is it? Meredith's voice dripped with false concern. Owen's been meeting Layla for months. Haven't you noticed his long lunches, the late meetings? Owen's been in a coma for weeks, I said through gritted teeth. Try again. Layla's smile faltered slightly. This was before the metadata on digital photos shows exactly when they were taken. I interrupted, reaching for her phone. Shall we check? She snatched it back quickly. That's private. Like the private conversations you've been having with Meredith, planning to fake evidence of an affair? The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Meredith set down her teacup with a sharp clink. You should be careful with accusations, she said softly. They can backfire. Like hiring an unlicensed nurse backfired? I pulled out my own phone. Or should we discuss the interesting financial records Chad found? Layla looked between us, her confidence wavering. Meredith, you said this would be simple. It is simple, Meredith snapped. Vivian is leaving, one way or another. My phone buzzed, a text from Kendra. Got the hospital records you needed, and something else. Call now. Excuse me, I said, heading to the kitchen. Feel free to show yourselves out. You're making a mistake, Meredith called after me. We can make this very ugly. Once in the kitchen, I called Kendra. You're not going to believe this, she said. I found Layla's divorce records. Guess who helped her fake evidence in her last divorce case? Meredith? Bingo. And it backfired spectacularly. The judge saw right through it. Layla lost everything. I smiled, walking back to the living room. Layla, remember your divorce from Marcus? The faked evidence? The judge's ruling? She went pale. How did you? Want to risk another fraud charge because helping Meredith fake an affair with her comatose son would definitely count as fraud. I I should go. Layla grabbed her purse, practically running for the door. You stupid girl, Meredith hissed after she left. You have no idea what you're doing. Actually, I do. I showed her my phone screen, a recording app running. Every word, Meredith, every threat, every scheme. She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. Careful. Assault would look bad in court. Court? Yes, court, where I'll be filing harassment charges, where Chad will testify about the missing money from his mother's accounts, where the hospital board will hear about Stephanie. The mask finally cracked completely. Meredith's face contorted with pure hatred. He was supposed to be mine, she snarled. My son, my house, my life to control. You're nothing. Just another Lila, another obstacle. No, I said quietly. I'm the woman Owen chose to protect from you, the woman he gave everything to because he knew exactly who you are. My phone buzzed again. A message from the hospital. Mr. Swanson showing signs of increased brain activity. Meredith saw the message over my shoulder. Her eyes widened. When he wakes up, I continued, who do you think he'll believe? The wife he protected or the mother he warned me about? She grabbed her purse, hands shaking. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You have 29 days to move out. After that, I'm changing the locks. Legally. After she stormed out, I called Chad. It worked, I told him. Layla cracked exactly like you said she would. Aunt Meredith's predictable, he replied. She always uses the same plays. But Vivian, be careful. She's never lost before. She'll be desperate. Let her be desperate. I have the truth on my side. That night, as I reclaimed my bedroom for the first time in weeks, I found something tucked under my pillow, a photo of Owen and me on our wedding day, torn in half. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won? I'm just getting started. Hope you're ready for war. I took a picture of the torn photo and sent it to Kendra with the message, evidence of harassment and threats. Keep a file. Then I lay down in my own bed, in my own room, in my own house, and finally let myself smile. Meredith wanted war? Fine. But she didn't know that I'd been preparing for this battle long before it began. The hospital called at 3 a.m. Owen's brain activity had spiked. By the time I arrived, Meredith was already there, trying to block my way into his room. Family only right now, she said. I held up my phone, showing her the recording app. Want to explain to the doctors why you're preventing his wife from seeing him? She stepped aside, her face twisted with rage. Inside, Owen's monitors were beeping steadily. His fingers twitched, the first movement I'd seen in weeks. I took his hand, and for a moment I swore he squeezed back. I have something for you, I whispered, pulling out my phone. I pressed play on the audio file Kendra had helped me prepare. The recording of Meredith and Stephanie played clearly. Just keep her away from him. Yes, I know you're not really a nurse. The money will be worth it. What are you doing? Meredith lunged forward, but Chad appeared in the doorway, blocking her path. Let her finish, Aunt Meredith, he said firmly. The recording continued. Meredith discussing the fake affair evidence with Layla, threatening me, admitting to her schemes. Owen's heart rate monitor began beeping faster. Turn that off, Meredith shrieked. Mrs. Swanson? Dr. Roberts appeared behind Chad. Is everything all right? Actually, doctor, I said calmly, I have some concerns about patient safety I need to discuss with you and the hospital board. The next few hours were a whirlwind. The hospital board convened an emergency meeting. I played the recordings, showed the evidence. Chad testified about his mother's missing money. The unlicensed nurse scandal broke everything wide open. By noon, Meredith and Jonathan were banned from the hospital. You'll regret this, Meredith spat as security escorted them out. I'll destroy you. Check your email, I called after her. Back in my house, I'd found financial documents hidden in Meredith's temporary room, records of money moved from Owen's business accounts to private ones in her name. I'd sent copies to everyone: the hospital board, Owen's business partners, their family lawyer. My phone started ringing immediately. Owen's business partners, their family friends, everyone wanting to know about the money Meredith had stolen. It's all falling apart, Chad said, watching the chaos unfold. Years of her schemes exposed in one day. Kendra arrived with more news. The bank's freezing the accounts Meredith accessed. They're launching an investigation. By evening, Meredith's carefully constructed world had crumbled. Her country club membership was revoked. Their family friends stopped taking her calls. The police wanted to question her about financial fraud. I returned to Owen's room that night to find his eyes flickering beneath their lids. The doctor said he was fighting to wake up. Keep talking to him, Dr. Roberts encouraged. He can hear you. I sat beside him, holding his hand. You were right about your mother, but you were also right about me. I didn't let her win. His fingers twitched again. A commotion erupted in the hallway. Meredith had returned, looking wild eyed and disheveled. You think you've won? She screamed from the doorway. I made him everything he is. I controlled everything. He's mine. Security rushed forward, but not before Owen's eyes snapped open. Mom? His voice was weak but clear. The room froze. Meredith's face lit up with triumph. Owen, darling, I'm here. Vivian has been. Get out. His words were quiet but firm. What? I heard everything. Get out. Meredith staggered back like she'd been slapped. Owen, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. His hand tightened around mine. I've always understood. That's why I protected Vivian from you. Now get out of our lives. Security finally reached her, gently but firmly escorting her away. Her wails echoed down the hallway. I'm sorry, Owen whispered to me. I knew she'd try something if anything happened to me. That's why the house, the accounts. Shh, I squeezed his hand. Rest. Everything's taken care of. Later that night, Kendra texted me a news link. Meredith had been arrested, not just for the financial fraud, but for attempting to practice medicine without a license through her fake nurse scheme. How does it feel? Chad asked when he visited the next day. Taking down the great Meredith? I watched Owen sleeping peacefully, properly monitored by real nurses now. It feels. My phone buzzed. A final text from Meredith. You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy. I deleted it without responding. She'd lost everything: her reputation, her social standing, her control. The thing she feared most had happened. People saw her for who she really was. Owen stirred, opening his eyes. You're still here. Always. Did she really try to? Yes, but she forgot something important. What's that? I smiled, thinking of the house deed, the recordings, the evidence I'd gathered. You married someone smarter than she is. His answering smile was worth everything we'd been through. But as I watched him drift back to sleep, I wondered, at what cost had this victory come? Owen gripped the parallel bars in physical therapy, his knuckles white with effort. Tell me again, he said between breaths. about the moment she realized she'd lost. I steadied his elbow as he took another shaky step. Which moment? When the hospital banned her? When her friends abandoned her? Or when she was arrested in front of her entire country club? He managed a weak laugh. All of it. I need the motivation. You're doing great without it, his therapist encouraged. 3 more steps. We'd developed this routine. He'd ask for details about Meredith's downfall during his hardest therapy sessions, using the satisfaction as fuel to push through the pain. Did you know, he said, pausing to catch his breath, that she tried to visit last week? My hand tightened on his elbow. What? Dad came too, but not to support her. Owen took another step. He's filing for divorce. I helped him to his wheelchair when the session ended. How do you feel about that? Honestly, relieved. He looked up at me. But I see how this victory has changed you. Back home, I found myself staring at the spot where Meredith had once stood, declaring her ownership of our lives. The house felt different now, cleaner, but somehow haunted by what had happened here. I got the final report from the forensic accountant, Kendra said over coffee in our kitchen. Meredith stole over 2 million from Owen's business accounts over the years, small amounts, building up. What happens now? She's facing serious prison time. The plea deal offers 3 years plus full restitution. I stirred my coffee, watching the liquid swirl. Was it worth it? All of it? Hey, Kendra grabbed my hand. She tried to destroy you, to take everything. You protected yourself, Owen, and probably future victims. The doorbell rang. Chad stood there with a box of old photos. Found these at my mom's house. Thought you should see them. The photos showed a pattern. Meredith, with different families over the years, always inserting herself, always followed by destruction, divorces, bankruptcies, broken relationships. You didn't just stop her with you, Chad said. You stopped her for good. That evening, Owen wheeled himself onto our back porch. His strength was returning, but the emotional wounds were still raw. I keep thinking, he said, watching the sunset, about all the signs I ignored growing up, the way she controlled everything. Everyone. I sat beside him. You didn't ignore them. You prepared for them. The house, the accounts. But I never thought she'd go this far. He took my hand. When I was in the coma, I could hear everything, her threats, your strength. I wanted so badly to wake up and stop her. You did wake up at exactly the right moment. He smiled. To find my wife had already handled everything. A car pulled up in front of our house. Jonathan stepped out, looking older than I remembered. Can I come in? He asked from the bottom of the porch steps. I owe you both an apology. Over tea, Jonathan laid out the years of Meredith's manipulation, of him, of Owen, of everyone around her. I enabled her, he admitted. But watching her try to destroy you, Vivian, it finally opened my eyes. Why didn't you stop her sooner? Owen asked. Fear, habit, love, maybe, but mostly cowardice. Jonathan pulled out an envelope. This is everything I know about her other schemes. The DA might need it. After he left, Owen and I sat in comfortable silence. We should redecorate, I finally said. Make the house ours again. Already planning to. He pointed to his phone, showing me paint samples. But first, I need to ask, are you okay? Really okay? I thought about it. About the rage that had driven me, the satisfaction of winning, the cost of victory. I'm different, I admitted. Stronger, maybe. Harder, definitely. But not broken. No, he smiled. Not broken at all. The next morning, I found a letter in our mailbox from Meredith's attorney. Inside was a single line. She's accepting the plea deal. I showed it to Owen over breakfast. It's really over. Not quite, he said. We still have to live with what happened, with who we've become. And who have we become? He reached across the table, taking my hand. Survivors, warriors, but most importantly, still us. I thought about Meredith, about power and revenge and justice, about the fine line between protecting yourself and losing yourself. They were wrong about me, I said finally. I wasn't just your wife. I was the fortress you built, and I never burned without leaving embers. Owen squeezed my hand. No, he said softly. You were always the fortress. I just helped with the blueprints. Outside, the morning sun painted our house a new light. Inside, we began again. Stronger for the battle, wiser for the cost, but still unquestionably, unshakably ourselves.